21st, when kickoff begins, we have all the action here. This is the place where you need to watch the African Cup of Nations, and the variety is so much. Like I said, we are here and we are live on Facebook, facebook.com/Kurunzi KE, and Toskin is going to test that for us here on set. But we also have some of the audience here. They want the selfie generation, yeah? So we are going to give them the hashtag on which they can be able to share all their photos and the experience, and that is hashtag Afcon at Panari. And then, of course, always, as you tweet, remember to tag at Kurunzi News. So let's take center stage here and talk about the football, which is coming in the next 7 days. Toskin, it looked like a long way. Finally, we have the transition from January to the summer in tandem with the rest of the football world. And something that is coming here is that we have something called video assistant referee. It did work for the CAF Champions League. It is coming for the Afcon from the quarterfinal stage. Is it a solution, or are we creating recipe for chaos like we saw a few days ago?
You know what, I can't just wait to see the African Cup of Nations kick off. Over the last 2 weeks or so, there has been a lot of noise around Africa, amplified during that final of the that is CAF Champions League, Esperance versus Wydad Casablanca. Now, everything is now snowballing. We just heard that Wydad Casablanca have moved to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and I don't want to listen to politics. I want to see action. And if only I could just switch the days so that we get into Friday, so that we watch football, I think it would be okay. But then the VAR is also following us to Cairo. I don't know how they'll manage it, but then we have to move with the time and then use technology. Hopefully, it shall all fall into place and we have a good tournament.
Japheth, are we doing too much politics? And as a marketer, is that negative publicity for CAF and the Afcon, especially when we talk about VAR implementation?
CAF have to be very careful, very careful, because the biggest tournament in Africa, the biggest club tournament in Africa, ended in chaos because of VAR. Now they're saying they're going to bring it back. What have they corrected? Will there be another lapse where it will go off again? So they have to be very careful, because if it doesn't work out again, even Afcon, it will just mess up Afcon, as in the caliber of the tournament will go down if VAR does not work.
Well, you are privy to very, what can I call it? Privileged information in terms of what didn't work. Let's pick it up from what happened in Tunis the other day. Is Hawkeye, and I'm not trying to give anybody bad publicity here, but they have been cited as having been in the middle of that. What is your take on that?
Exactly. Hawkeye supplies not only CAF, but it does also for UEFA and also FIFA. And the other day, I just read some news. The FIFA president has taken interest in what is happening in Africa, and he's saying he's aware that there are problems in Africa, and that even FA presidents from different federations in Africa have contacted him to say, come in and resolve this. So I don't think they'll be in the mood to mess up things, because this time around, we want to believe that Hawkeye have done all their work that they're supposed to do. But my only worry is that when CAF decided that they were going to, they ruled that the Esperance Wydad game has to be replayed, we didn't hear before that what they had corrected. So I just want to believe that maybe behind the scenes, they've been talking with Hawkeye, they've been talking with the relevant people to ensure that the VAR components, as it were, will all be delivered in Cairo. They cannot afford to mess it up.
They cannot afford to mess it up. And talking about that Wydad Casablanca Esperance game, we are talking about a man who was involved in the thick of things. That is Africa's most experienced referee. He has been to the Olympics. He has been involved in the World Cup in Russia last time out. And he was the man in the center of the pitch. Controversy happens. But I'm told his report was not considered in the decision to have the match replayed. Is it a big mistake? He is going to be at the Afcon. He has quoted a lot of controversy, especially for those who know the inside politics around CAF. Is it a big mistake? Are we shooting ourselves in the foot?
I think for me, Bakari Papa Gassama is a good referee. One thing I like about him is a referee who lets the football flow. That's what he does. If you look at his stats, he's a guy who doesn't stop games. He doesn't give fouls. He just lets the game flow, which is a very good thing. But he's been involved in a few controversies. Him being there, people will want to know what has changed about him or will he do better. But when it comes to VAR, you can't fault him. It is not his fault. Because he went to check the VAR. And it was off.
And just found an empty shell.
It was not
and you can join this conversation from wherever you are by joining our page, that is Kurunzi, and like the page and give us your thoughts. Jaffe thinks we cannot blame the referee, but Robin and myself here, we believe that you're as good as your last performance.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
That cloud will always be there, that he was in charge of this game, that has now become, in quotes, shame of African football by ordering a replay. But Toskin, let's expand this a little and talk about the general officiating. As a Kenyan, and majority of the audience here, being Kenyan, we have one referee and one assistant referee. Let's look at the officiating in general. What are you looking forward to? Of course, Gassama's case will be there. There is an Egyptian referee before that who was serving 6 months suspension. It was in the same championship.
It's the same championship.
What are we looking forward to? No, another chaotic
I don't think so. I don't think so. Nobody will mess up Afcon, and you cannot afford, even as a referee, you cannot afford to mess up on that stage. Everybody around the world will be watching. Of course, there will be Copa America also taking part, but then the focus will be in Africa because talent has always flown out of this continent to Europe. But talking about Gassama, make no mistake about it, he's the best referee Africa has at the moment. During the 2018 World Cup, he was on top of his game. He really did well. The only problem I have are the CAF organizing committees.
The referees committee.
The referees committee. Look, Gassama officiated the second leg of the semi-final between TP Mazembe and Esperance in Rade Stadium. Now, the same referee is put in charge of the final against between Esperance and Wydad. Now, after the semi-final, TP Mazembe did not have kind words for Bakari Gassama. But now, the final, things go haywire. And again, who is at the center is Bakari. But of course, he's not to blame. The person to blame for me are the organizing committee people. They should make sure that they do not set up the referees to fail. By not availing the VAR, was actually setting up these guys to fail.
Throughout the match, Jaffo, the referees are always in communication.
True.
So why would he feign trying to go see it on VAR when he's well aware? He must have been well aware. And we know what happens before a football match.
He saw what he saw with his eyes. But then, because there was controversy, he had to go and consult VAR.
Consult what? Because we are told Ahmad, the president of CAF, has been quoted as saying that the VAR failed 15 minutes before the game. So why would the referee again go there try checking what?
And that is my point. Africa and the whole world, wherever you're watching from, give us your opinion. Honestly, Jaffo,
the referee did not know VAR was not one.
How?
He didn't know. That's why he went there.
We are going into Afcon under the same CAF, administered, run by the same CAF. Are we likely to see another situation like that? And
it won't happen.
I don't think it won't happen. But you see, for the Champions League final, it's because there were interested bodies there. You know, there were people who were interested. Maybe they switched it off. You never know. I don't think it will happen at Afcon, but I still think it wasn't Gassama's fault.
It wasn't.
It wasn't
that
Gassama's
categorically.
fault. I will stand by Gassama for that.
They stand by Gassama. I'm not sure that I want to stand with him in the same vein as they are, because
the only way we can disagree with him is the match report, if ever it was established, which we haven't seen.
In terms of controversies at CAF, are we looking at a situation where CAF they sit somewhere in Paris, they make a decision about replaying the game, but the match referee's report was not considered. You know that, you've heard that, Toskin, but we take a quick break because when we return, we will delve deeper into that controversy and also look at how the teams have been preparing and what are the issues coming from there. In the past editions, we've had situations where there's always a tug of war in terms of bonuses, allowances. This time, I've not had so much of that. I'm not so sure whether silence means absence or what is happening. We come back to find out only on Kurunzi.
At what point do you go
Miaje.
Oya, unaielewa? Basi kama tupatie maoni hii ni platform yako, analyst wa mtaa, wale wasi wanaipenda na wana kitu ya kusema juu yake, si ndio? Tuangalie tactics za coaches, tuangalie players, inaweza, haiwezi, Utaniona nikikaa mitaa zenyu mazee, tubonge, to discuss, to have fun, ama vipi? To follow pale social media, subscribe kwa page yetu pale YouTube, analyst wa mtaa, na tujienjoy, Hapa ni kwetu, analyst wa mtaa ndio sisi, ama vipi? Yeah.
This is the only build-up show that gives you all the information that you need to know about the African Cup of Nations, which is coming up in the next 1 week. And we are coming to you live on Facebook, facebook.com/KurunziKE. And you can also read more on afcon2019.kurunzi.co.ke. And you can also follow all this on Twitter. Remember the hashtag? We have the selfie generation here in studio, which includes students from the Nairobi Aviation College. We are going to begin with the controversy where we left. I know Toskin will be covering so many pages in terms of Afcon in the Standard, as well as all the other platforms within the Standard Group stable. We are coming to you live from the Panari Hotel in Nairobi, just 10 minutes away from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. So if you're traveling from whichever part of the world, going to Egypt for the Afcon, remember Nairobi is the connection point to Egypt. So why not spend a night here and enjoy some hospitality the Kenyan way, only at the Panari Hotel. Let me hear from some. I have members of the audience here, and we also have another side. Gentlemen and ladies, this is not just about the people here. What are you looking forward to? And first of all, tell us your name and whether or not you're supporting any team at the Afcon. I know majority of you will be from Kenya and therefore supporting Harambee Stars. But there are issues that Toskin doesn't like me talking about. Let's hear, which teams are you looking forward to enjoying watching at the Africa Cup of Nations, be it on that side or on this side? Gentlemen and ladies? Yes, the gentleman wearing a white top.
My name is James Lainisa, student at Nairobi Aviation College. I personally I am supporting Harambee Stars, and I also enjoyed the Nigerian football plus the Ivory Coast. Yeah.
Well, and do you have any prediction? Of course, you said you support Harambee Stars. Yeah. Do you think Harambee Stars is going to win the Afcon?
Yeah. The same way Victor Mugbi Wanyama has taken hot spots to the final of the UEFA Champions League, he's going to take our ambassadors to the Afcon finals.
Well, that is the spirit here in Nairobi. Do we have, I'm going to say something about what he just said. Do we have any other comment or question for the gentleman here? Anybody? Yes, we have a lady there. Wow. Your name?
I'm Mary Chacha from Aviation. My first question is that, do you think corruption will be able to affect the African Cup of Nations?
Well, good question.
Good question.
Do we want to start there? Because I think that is critical. That is what we were talking about, the CAF controversy. You make a decision for a replay, the match referee's report is included, you know the VAR was not delivered. case of corruption?
It's really bad, and of course it's very unfortunate that the head of CAF, Ahmad, was taken in to be questioned by the French authorities about some deals within CAF. Remember, Ahmad was elected on a reform platform. He was elected in place of Issa Hayatou from Cameroon, and for 29 years, Issa Hayatou had wielded power and opaqueness at CAF. Now, Ahmad comes, and the first thing, when we thought that there would be reforms, is the guy being dragged into some place to be questioned about corruption.
So let's answer that lady's question straight away. Is there corruption at CAF? If yes, if no, is that likely to affect, or does it affect the shape and image of African football?
We've had cases of match fixing. We know that. We know it happened across Africa in many countries. We've had officials being arrested because of it. But I think just to give the benefit of doubt to this competition in particular at Afcon, I don't think that can work. Yes, there is corruption. Yes, there is match fixing, but I don't think it will happen at Afcon.
Yes is the most important part of that sentence. Do we have any other comment or question before we engage?
You did not comment about Victor Wanyama.
We are going to get into that.
It's beer. Okay, we wait.
Okay. Not really personal, but let's hear something personal from him.
Yeah.
My name is Edwin Omondi from Nairobi Aviation. I just want
as we sort out that matter, let's come to the issue of Victor Wanyama that you're asking me about. I'm talking about
the country is expectant.
I am talking about the belief. I am talking about the expectations. Everybody believes that their mother is the best cook. And in the case of African football, each of those 24 teams, including those of us watching from West Africa, from Southern Africa, from North Africa, they believe that their mother, in this case, their national team, is the best. Are we trying to expect more than being realistic here, talking about Harambee Stars, and pan that wider, and give me your thoughts in terms of who is likely to be, to give a run for Madin?
Okay, I'll start. Charity begins at home. Obviously, you have to support Harambee Stars. It's been a whole 15 plus years since we were at the Afcon. So I think, yeah, we are proud that our team is there. And like the gentleman said, Wanyama showed his exploits when he helped Tottenham to get to the finals.
He was part of the Tottenham.
This is a different ballgame. This is Afcon. And we are behind the Stars. But we know that it's going to be a tough one for them. That's what I'll say.
For me, I think he's justified. The dream he has is really justified. Because what? This is an expanded format of the African Cup of Nations. Before then, it was only 16 teams. Now we have 24. And the top two in each group qualifies to the knockout stages. And then we'll have 3 best third-place teams. So we are in Group C against Algeria, Senegal, and Tanzania. If we play our cards well, we are likely to be among the two or at worst the best third place teams. And the moment we get into the knockout stages, anything can happen. Nobody can guarantee that the top dog can beat the underdog.
And I'll give you an example.
Let's hold that. He is ready now to ask his question or make his comment. Your name and your thoughts?
My name is Edwin Omondi. I just want to comment about the failure of the VAR.
Yes.
I don't think it was the fault of the referee because he didn't have an idea whether the VAR was working. That's why he went to check. If he knew it didn't work, he could not have gone to refer to the VAR. Yes. And it's not supposed to be blamed for the failure of the game. The VR.
Well, I mean, Africa and the world, those are your thoughts. I have mine. I'll keep them to myself at this point in time. Let's talk about...
But he's really, he has a point because really nobody out of his mind can just go try and look at what does not exist. So maybe he knew that the VAR had been set up, and that's why he went there.
There was a booth for it.
The only problem I have is that the VAR worked in the first leg, just across the borders in Morocco. Then the second second leg.
Advocate on this matter, and I want to ask you: these guys have talked back. They have something on their ears.
Yes.
Surely someone must have told him that this thing is not working. And if you're talking about that system having failed 15 minutes before the game, the teams are still in the tunnel, and
something
obviously
doesn't
the
add up.
referee would have been informed. But let's stay away from that and talk about controversies elsewhere. Asamoah Gyan is back into the Ghanaian squad for the African Cup of Nations, but there was drama around that because he wanted to come back and be the captain, and the folks are saying no. What is your take on that?
No, I don't think he wanted to go back there and be the captain. It is not his prerogative to do that. And if you read all the media reports, he never said that kind of thing. But of course, we know there has been a controversy there has been a rift that has been reported between him and the Ayew brothers, that is Andre and Jordan. And of course, he has come out to say, I have no problems with Jordan and Andre, because these are young players that I've always wanted to mentor them. Now that he's 33 years, he's giving way to the Ayew brothers. So I don't think there should be an issue there.
You don't agree, but as you disagree, let me also introduce something else. Bafana, the coach says they only have one friendly match. He was looking for more, and that is not very good for the Rainbow Nation going into the Afcon. So as you disagree, and
yes, so I disagree because he quit the national team because he wanted to go as captain. That, I believe, is the reason why. So I don't agree with you on that.
Okay,
on
our brothers from Accra and other parts of Ghana are watching,
yes.
So they will be on your case. Yes. Give us your thoughts, whatever it is that you think, whether you agree with Jafo or not, or you agree with Toskin.
On Bafana, I agree with Stuart Baxter. I think the preparations have been a bit shambolic for them. They just went, and they went to play against, is it Ghana, if I'm not wrong? But then they even left late. Their bookings were done poorly, so they were held at the airport for quite some time. I think their preparations have not been good. There's a player, I think his name is Rivaldo, who asked for a day off to go see his sick mother. Then he totally disappeared from camp, and his phone went off. So I think there's just been a lot of shambolic preparations for them, and I don't see them doing so well during this tournament.
Our brothers from South Africa, you know what that means. Mzanziland will be watching. Let's introduce, there have been a lot of talk around bonuses and allowance perennially. But this time round, Robin, we've not heard of any so far. And just like I said, does absence of noise mean all is well? Or is it a question of now somebody is, stamping the authority and saying, by the way, you either take it or take the highway?
The loudest noise has always come from our brothers in Ghana. You have to forgive me for that, because I've got reason to say that. When we were in Brazil 2014 World Cup and we saw live images of dollars being flown from Ghana to Brazil, it was a day of shame. But this time round, we've been told that the Ghanaian government has mobilized $15 million just to silence the Black Stars. That is a lot of money. That's really
1.5 billion shillings. And our Harambee Stars got
250 million, which is 2.4 million US dollars.
A drop in the
and you know what? And you know what? They are going out there to compete for 4.5 million US dollars. If you win the African Cup of Nations, you are given $4.5 million. But Ghana have mobilized $15 million just to help Black Stars.
You know, Robin, economists will not agree with you on that in terms of investment, because you're spending $1.5 billion, that is shillings, sorry, and you're looking at a price of 450 million. Economists will actually disagree with you if you took that proposal to any boardroom. But let's look at
before you go, 55 Ghanaian journalists will be paid for by the Ghanaian government. They
How
have
many-
put in
how many
dollars
are we
again.
getting
So.
from elsewhere in the world, wherever you are? I know our colleagues
This
from
Africa.
the fourth estate,
This
wherever
is
you're watching us from. Toskin may not even answer that question for Kenya, but some parts of Africa, maybe you have an idea, because Ghana already know 55 are going. Is it the same story elsewhere in Africa, that it is a well-kept secret, or are they being traded to the highest bidder in terms of silence against writing anything that is unbecoming from those camps? We will get into those camps. Tanzania are in Egypt already. They are, they've set their camp there. They drew. They lost to Egypt in their build-up match. Harambee Stars is in France. I think in Madrid today for the friendly match with the DRC. Who else is where? Do we have an idea of?
The teams are spread out. I think in Spain, Senegal are in Spain, together with Cameroon. I think they're both there. South Africa were at home and now they've gone to Dubai. Algeria are in Abu Dhabi. Ivory Coast are in Abu Dhabi. They were home for quite a while also. Mali are in Abu Dhabi. And when you look at where these countries are going, they're going to the hot areas. Some of the countries went to the cold areas. I'm trying to understand.
Okay.
I'm just
Just
asking.
name names, name teams.
Is anybody here among the audience also shocked that Harambee Stars went to camp in France to play a tournament in Egypt? Is somebody shocked from the audience? Senior, are you as the... Do you hold that view? We will want to hear your thoughts on this. I know you've covered or followed
Yes, I
many
can see
more
there's a hand up.
Afcons. Then we will come here. Let's hear our senior first. Please, it's good to imbibe in some of your wisdom as our senior.
Like a bass guitarist, I've hidden here. You know, I come from the background of music, so the bass,
If you could.
yeah, the bass guitarist hides somewhere. Now, interesting issues around corruption. They seem to be, the thread of corruption seem to be running across Africa in terms of sports and so forth. But my question lands on to our own Kenyan team. Are we really well funded this time? Because I've heard you mention figures. And is the team motivated?
I'll talk about what I know, senior. I know that
yeah.
government, your taxpayers' money.
Yeah. Is the team motivated? We saw the budget being read yesterday, right? 370 B was given to the Big Four agenda. Sports, I think, received less than 5B.
Again, which goes to recurrent expenditure.
Yeah, so what
underline
are we
that.
talking about? What are we talking about? Are the boys well funded, or will they reach there and it's like, you know, and are we serious about our own team?
Well, Senior, you're raising very pertinent questions right there. And he's speaking to a matter that if you expound it and widen the scope, you would realize that this is a question that many African countries are grappling with. What is your experience wherever you are and wherever you're following us from? This conversation always goes on and on and on, and I had the gentleman behind me here who wanted to say something, but I would come back to you in terms of the overall architecture of the preparations, which team has been where. For me, it was a shocker that Harambee Stars were actually going to camp in France because I thought maybe Algeria, Morocco would have been ideal, Dubai or Abu Dhabi, with $2.4 million coming from the government of Kenya. Kenyans have a reason to ask questions, especially if Harambee Stars don't go beyond the group stage.
Yes, if the team performs, I think it will be a plus because it's the first time, maybe Toskin can correct me, it's the first time the team has been taken out to camp and prepare. So I think kudos to that. But then in terms of the weather and the climate, I question that a bit because I know Egypt is hot. And if you look at where the countries have gone, Uganda, Abu Dhabi, Ghana, Qatar and Dubai, Mali, Abu Dhabi, Ivory Coast, Abu Dhabi, Algeria, Abu Dhabi, why did we choose a cold the cold area to go and train? I don't know, maybe the coach has his reasons, but for me I think we should have adapted to the weather conditions in Egypt.
Exactly,
It will be.
and that explains why other countries like DRC are camping in Spain, because the Iberian Peninsula is comparatively almost like North Africa, if you like, because it's just across the channel. Let's hear from him and your name and. Toskin, you are a goalkeeper. He was a striker, by the way. Which school is that again?
St. Peter's Mumias.
St. Peter's Mumias.
No.
Yeah. Are you Peter by any chance?
Striker.
Okay, tell us your name and
Okay.
give us your thoughts.
My name is Javan Duke, and I think, as you said earlier on, our country, Kenya, is tamacking. It's really tamacking. And many Kenyans have that anticipation, and they have that anxiety to see the country, Kenya, Harambee Stars winning. But many have it and have actually questioned how did it happen that this time round they managed to get to France for the practice. I think it's 2 weeks ago. Yeah. This is making, because many say that a mother's food well cooked, people, you believe in it. And so we as Kenyans, we believe that, personally, I support the Harambee Stars. And so we personally, Kenyans, we believe that our mother's well food cooked is good. And we think that, I think we have a 97% believe in the country, in the Harambee Stars.
Well, he's talking about belief. Let's look at something else that speaks to that particular belief, and let's look at the groups now. Gentlemen, we were able to do this, but we will do this over and over again. But the question I'm asking, when you look at Group A, for example, and for me, the fixtures, how they come, does it really matter to Skin that you are playing, I will play you first, then another person? Does that really matter when it comes to a competition like this?
It matters a lot. And I've always wondered why sometimes the weaker teams are pitted against the stronger teams. If you look at our Group C.
Are you saying that we have weak teams who have qualified for the Afcon?
Of course, you've got to be realistic. People say that there are no longer smaller teams, but in terms of pedigree, you've got to be a bit realistic. Group C, for instance, Senegal, Algeria, Kenya, Tanzania. You cannot argue about the pedigree. Senegal have qualified for the World Cup. Algeria are regular performers or qualifiers at the World Cup. So you cannot begin to argue about those facts. But then the question is, Kenya will be kicking off its first game against Algeria. Senegal, Tanzania. The second game will be Senegal versus Algeria. But you know, the likelihood of Kenya beating Algeria is minimal. So Algeria can collect 3 points, and then by the time they meet Senegal, they only look for 1 point, that they'll be on 4 points. They will qualify. So it matters who you play first. I'm very sure if we were to play against Tanzania first, I'm not saying that it's outright that we can beat Tanzania, but history favors Kenya. We've played against Tanzania, I think 40 times or 48 times. We've beaten Tanzania 20 times. They have beaten Kenya 14 times. So we have a history. So we have a realistic chance if we prepare well to beat Tanzania. So if we get 3 points first, then we go to Nazuia against the other teams. We get 4.
It's talking about Kuzuia, and I watched Kenya against Madagascar in that friendly. And Toskin, you remember the words we said, playing Roju, which is, we are going to do it, and playing strategically. Let's talk about strategy. Which matches stand out for you in terms of the order they come in, whichever group that you're looking at?
For me, the group that I think will be chaotic for me is Group D. Morocco, Ivory Coast, Namibia, and SA. We can say Namibia is the small team there, yeah, like Toskin said. Namibia could be the small team, but these other three, when Morocco plays SA, the result will determine how they play the next match and the next match. So for me, I think that group is very chaotic. All the 3 teams will try and beat Namibia. That's the easy bit.
but
then after that, who beats who, because
becomes
becomes
the
very
question.
tricky. Yes.
But historically, I don't think Morocco has been a problem to South Africa. If you look at, I think, about 4 games they've played together, they've only drawn once, and South Africa prevailing in the other 3. So they've got a good chance there. But Ivory Coast, Morocco is always a cracker. You have Renard, the coach of Morocco now.
Yes.
He won the Afcon with Ivory Coast. That should make for a compelling, experience.
There's another group that has Ghana, I think, and Cameroon.
Ghana,
Yes.
Cameroon,
What-
Benin, and Guinea-Bissau.
Who is being looked at as the person that everybody must beat in that group?
Wow. That's a tough one. Cameroon, Ghana. I think Cameroon have always prevailed over Ghana. They have a good record against them. But if you look at the teams, the composition now, I think Ghana have a better squad. But of course, in terms of balance, I think Cameroon still have a good edge over most of the teams. Of course, this is a team that lacks the superstars that we all knew. Samuel Eto'o is long retired. Now you even don't know who is the standout player. But then
But we're talking
overall,
about the reigning African champions.
They are
it
the
is unfair
champions.
to say that their players are really anonymous, and I know
They don't have big players.
The big
There was a
stars,
time they
yeah.
had big players. Every name was scaring the opponent. But for me, the other group that will also be fire, and we may assume that Egypt will go through, but that group is also very, very
Oh
tricky.
yes, talking about Egypt, Uganda, Zimbabwe, and the DRC.
That's
that
a
is
very
Group
tricky
A.
group also.
This conversation continues on and on and on. And remember, the beauty of following this here on Kurunzi is that it is endless, because just log on to our Facebook page and engage Toskin, engage Jafo, engage the gentlemen and ladies that we had here from the Nairobi Aviation College, and our senior and the members of the audience. It will go on and on. Here are the Panari from the 21st of June. All the action will be here. You'll be able to watch the matches on big screen. You'll also be able to get fantastic hospitality here, courtesy of the Panari Hotel. Remember, you can subscribe to our SMS number, which is 20206, for a chance to get all the updates about the African Cup of Nations. You can also read, if you love reading, you can read all the literature about the African Cup of Nations on afcon2019.kurunzi.co.ke. Remember, Robin Toskin, before he accuses me of ignoring him, he will be having loads and loads of content on the Standard newspaper throughout the tournament. Of course, KTN and KTN other platforms will also be talking about it. Jafo will be doing all the talking on Analysts from TAR, which is a platform that you can follow, and it's good stuff. And of course, all that, the melting pot, is here on Kurunzi. We want to thank you. We want to appreciate everybody that has made this possible, all our crew and the wonderful audience that we had here. Let's have a round of applause for all of us for being here. And we say the conversation continues. So from here at the Panari Sky Center, we say au revoir.
Good show.
Magic System, Red One, Shaoki. Comme d'habitude, on est calé. Comme toujours, ça va aller. On te met l'ambiance à gogo. Tous ensemble, on fait le show. On t'invite à la magie. Y a pas de raccourci. Oublie tes soucis. C'est bien faire la folie. On t'invite à la magie. Y a pas de raccourci. Oublie tes soucis. Oh, 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 oh. c'est pas seulement pour les bobos. Nous on vient dans nos mambo. Mon ami, si tu as le niveau.